been about 2 months since the Apple Watch Series 3 hit, and during that time I've had it on my wrist almost every single day, so I wanted to do a full review of the Apple Watch. We didn't do a review when it first came out. I wanted to get a chance to know it a little better, see if there were any giant differences. Before I jump into that, I want to talk a little bit about smartwatches in general. I am a ball of conflicted emotion when it comes to these little computers on my wrist. Part of me wants to be like, what's the point? Apps on your wrist are stupid, they're slow, they're hard to launch, and it's just as easy to look at my phone as opposed to see notifications. The other part of me, when I don't wear a smartwatch, super misses it, and I'm not sure which side is winning, so my approach towards smartwatches is kind of like a question mark. Are they useful? Sometimes. Are they not useful? Yeah, probably. But the Apple Watch Series 3 does bring something new that takes it one step closer to actual utility, and that's LTE availability. You can tell you've got an LTE model by the little red on the crown. And that's pretty much the only way you can tell you got an Apple Watch Series 3 as opposed to an Apple Watch Series 2 or really the original Apple Watch. So there's a couple things I really like about the Series 3. I think Apple improved over previous versions. And that is battery life. Hot damn, is battery life good! I went 3 days without charging the Apple Watch. By the time one day went by, I used about 30%. So 30% each day is pretty awesome. It's going from about 7 a.m. till about 10 p.m. The big caveat though, if you have LTE turned on, or at least LTE active. So if you leave your phone at home, it'll detect that and it'll turn the LTE modem on. Battery life with LTE is not great. I did a test, I was able to make a 1-hour phone call on the watch with LTE, and that drained the battery from complete to 0. But if you've got LTE on and you're just like out walking in the park or something, you can generally get through maybe about 5 to 6 hours away before the battery life is gonna come pretty close to dead. But I don't think the use case is most people using LTE all the time. I think it's using LTE when you're going for a run, when you're going for a swim, or doing a workout. That's when you want to have the benefit of having LTE on. And for those kind of things, it worked pretty well. One of the big benefits of LTE, and this wasn't there at launch actually, was the ability to stream Apple Music to wireless headphones when you don't have your phone near you. And I tried it, paired with some AirPods, it worked really well as I went for my run. I could ask whatever song I wanted to play, I could play playlists, anything I wanted to do, anything I could do with Apple Music for my phone, I could just do with my watch. And if music is something that's really important to you and maybe you want to listen to music at home or by your bedside, I want to thank the folks at iHome for sponsoring this video and making it possible, in particular their iAVS 16. This thing does absolutely everything. It's an alarm clock, it's got Alexa built in, it's got a USB port on the back for charging your Apple Watch, whatever else you want to charge. And most importantly, I think it addresses the big shortcoming with an Amazon Echo device. They don't have a screen. So if you have an alarm set and you wake up in the middle of the night, you want to know what time it is, you gotta ask it, and it's loud and can wake up the person sleeping next to you. This has a screen built in. It's got really cool LED lights that'll glow when you ask Alexa a question. It does everything in a really nice, small, compact footprint. We'll link to it down below if you wanna check it out. The Apple Watch Series 3 seems geared towards the Fitbit crowd, the folks that want a smartwatch that's geared towards workouts. You've got a barometric altimeter in here, you've got new workout apps that make it easier. It'll automatically detect when you are working out. You've got a revised heart rate sensor. So if you need your watch to work out, it's still probably the best going. Admittedly, I should work out a little bit more, but when I did do the workouts, it worked out great. When I'd start working out and I forget to set my watch, it would know and it would start tracking it, and that was nice. I like the added heart rate stuff that it does. If you aren't into working out, then that might be a reason to get the Apple Watch. When it comes to me in fitness, I'm generally only fitness whole pizza in my mouth. Some other nice things versus previous versions, this one's way faster. The Apple Watch Series 1 was certainly slow, was launching the apps off the watch. 2 got a little bit quicker. The jump from 2 to 3 though seems like it's 3 or 4 times as fast if you want to launch apps. And speaking of apps, I don't use them on a smartwatch. I think it's cumbersome to find them. When they launch, they're not that useful. It's easier for me just to look at my phone. The only time I really ever use apps is to check like a football score or something on ESPN, but that was pretty much it for me. My use case for the watch is generally notifications, being able to talk to Siri, and she'll now talk back to you with the Apple Watch Series 3, which is nice. And then being able to make an occasional phone call on LTE or just using the speakerphone. So maybe for me, the Series 3 isn't necessary. Most of those things I could do on Series 2, but being able to have LTE has been nice for that peace of mind. But all that peace of mind It's damn expensive. You're starting at $400 to get a watch with LTE, then it's, depending on your carrier, about $10 a month for the LTE service, then you gotta have an iPhone to go along with that. By the time you get all this stuff together, if you got a new generation iPhone, you're looking at like $1,500 just to get out the door, and that's a lot of money to have freedom from your phone. It's also kind of weird that Apple's trying to sell you on freedom from your phone while also trying to sell you a phone. All right, so who is the Apple Watch Series 3 for? First, if you already know you're an Apple Watch fan and you want to upgrade, then yeah, you're going to do it anyway. If you're coming from the first gen Apple Watch, it's going to be a gigantic update for you. Not only for battery life, but for speed and overall OS and software improvements. It's a gigantic improvement. If you're coming from a Series 2, I mean, other than LTE, there's very little difference here. There's some new band colors, but you can just buy those from the Apple Store or buy a ton of third-party bands from Amazon. That's who the watch is for. Other than that, I'm not sure who the target market is. I like it. I don't love it. Kind of sums up my apathy in general towards smartwatches, and not just the Apple Watch. And I think having worn Android Wear for years now, the OS that Apple's got on the Apple Watch, called watchOS, is way better and more intuitive than Android Wear. But at their heart, they both do the same thing. And if that same thing that it does is for you, then great. If it doesn't, I think you could skip it, wait for next gen when hopefully we'll see a design change and maybe a little round screen, or at least it'll look noticeably different than the very first version that hit. All right, so that's the Apple Watch Series 3. It's kind of the same thoughts I've had for 1 and 2. It's probably the best smartwatch out there. Whether or not you need a smartwatch or you want a smartwatch, you're gonna get down to your personal usage. If you want the latest from Apple, then get it. If you're a workout fanatic, you wanna be able to track your heart rate a little bit better, maybe you run up in the mountains and you wanna know your altitude, it's nice to have. If you're coming from the first gen watch and you want the waterproofing and you want the speed, nice to have that there as well. If you're rocking a Series 2, I think stick with your Series 2 for another year. Perhaps your patience will be rewarded. And let me know what you guys think. Did you buy a Series 3? If you did, why? Are you using LTE? Until next time, I'm John Render from Techno Buffalo. Talk to you guys in the next video.